Dreams have a powerful energy that can drive people to extraordinary lengths. When you hold a deep desire to achieve your dreams, the paths to reach them start to reveal themselves. I believe you have dreams you're eager to fulfill, too. So, let's embark on a journey through a story that may guide you towards your own dreams. Today, we're diving into the remarkable book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Santiago, a humble shepherd, arrived at an abandoned church with his flock, seeking shelter for the night. Using his jacket as a makeshift broom, he swept the dusty floor before settling down. As he rested his head on the book he had just finished reading, he mused over the idea of choosing thicker books in the future to serve as more comfortable pillows. That night, Santiago had the same recurring dream he experienced a week ago. But once again, he woke up before the dream concluded. Although his parents had wanted him to become a priest, Santiago's lifelong yearning was to explore the world. This desire led him to become a shepherd. During their walks, he would often converse with his sheep, sharing his observations about the villages they passed by. Recently, however, Santiago's conversations with the sheep centered around one particular topic: the girl. She was the daughter of a merchant who lived in the village they were to reach in 4 days. Santiago had visited this village once the previous year, where the merchant owned a dry goods shop. As Santiago gazed at the sun, he estimated that he would reach Tarifa by midday. Suddenly, he remembered an old woman in Tarifa who could interpret dreams. Intrigued, Santiago decided to seek her guidance. The old woman welcomed him into her room, eager to hear about his dream. Santiago recounted his dream to the woman, explaining that he was in a field with his sheep when a child appeared and began playing with the animals. The child played with the sheep for a considerable time but then, unexpectedly, took Santiago's hands and transported him to the Egyptian pyramids. At the pyramids, the child said, "If you come here, you will find a treasure." However, just as the child was about to reveal the treasure's exact location, Santiago woke up. This had happened twice. The room fell silent as the old woman pondered the dream's meaning. After a while, she broke the silence and asked Santiago to swear that he would give 1/10 of his treasure in exchange for her interpretation. Santiago solemnly swore in the presence of God, affirming his commitment. With the oath taken, the old woman revealed her interpretation: the boy must journey to the pyramids in Egypt, for there, he would discover a treasure that would bring him great wealth. Believe in your dream. Disheartened by the interpretation, Santiago decided never to believe in dreams again. Seeking something to eat, he headed to the market. Determined to choose thicker books, he exchanged his previous one for a new read. Settling down on a bench in the bustling plaza, he opened the book and immersed himself in its pages. However, his solitude was soon disrupted by the arrival of an old man who sat beside him, attempting to strike up a conversation. Weary and thirsty, the old man asked if he could sip the boy's wine. Hoping to be left alone, Santiago handed over his bottle, but the old man desired more than a drink, he wanted to talk. Curiosity getting the better of him, Santiago inquired about the old man's origins. To his surprise, the man claimed to be the king of Salem. Skeptical, Santiago listened as the man introduced himself as Melchizedek. Eager to gather his sheep and continue his journey, Santiago requested his book back. However, Melchizedek proposed a trade: he would reveal the secret to finding the treasure if Santiago gave him 1/10 of his flock. Caught between his flock and the pursuit of treasure, Santiago faced a difficult choice. The following day, at noon, Santiago met Melchizedek, bringing along his sheep. Surprisingly, Santiago's friend eagerly purchased all the remaining sheep, expressing his lifelong dream of becoming a shepherd. Melchizedek imparted his wisdom to Santiago, emphasizing the importance of following omens along the journey. He gave Santiago 2 stones, an Urim and a Thummim, to aid him. The black stone signified yes, while the white stone represented no. These stones would assist Santiago in deciphering the omens when uncertainty arose. With his guidance given, Melchizedek bid farewell and departed. The journey Having arrived in Tangier, Santiago's true adventure was just beginning. While sitting in a bar, a stranger struck up a conversation with him. Santiago shared his dream of reaching the pyramids and asked if the stranger could guide him, offering payment in return. The stranger explained that they would need to cross the entire Sahara Desert to reach their destination and inquired if Santiago was financially prepared for the journey. Finding it an odd question, Santiago showed the stranger his money pouch. Trusting his new companion, Santiago walked with him through the narrow streets of Tangier. They soon arrived at a bustling marketplace in the center of a large plaza. Santiago stayed close to his companion, aware that his entire fortune was at stake. Suddenly, Santiago noticed the most beautiful sword he had ever seen. Determined to buy it after returning from Egypt, he asked his friend to inquire about its price. But when he turned back, his companion had vanished without a trace. Unsure of what to do, Santiago waited, hoping his companion would return. As time passed, it became clear that his companion was not coming back. Meanwhile, the crystal merchant began his day with the familiar anxiety he felt every morning. For 30 years, his shop had stood at the top of a hill, with few customers passing by. Once, his shop had thrived, frequented by Arab merchants and French and English geologists. But as the neighborhood changed, only a few shops remained. Despite this, the crystal merchant had no other options. He had spent 3 decades buying and selling crystal, and he had to continue. When the crystal merchant noticed Santiago, he asked, "Do you want to work for me?" "I can work for the rest of the day," Santiago eagerly replied. "I'll work through the night until dawn, cleaning every piece of crystal in your shop. In return, I need money to travel to Egypt tomorrow." The merchant chuckled. "Even if you cleaned my crystal for a year and made excellent sales, you'd still need to borrow money to reach Egypt. There are thousands of kilometers of desert between here and there." Undeterred, Santiago insisted, "I'll work for you. And, if I may add, I need money to buy some sheep. Work under the master." For nearly a month, Santiago worked tirelessly for the crystal merchant. He realized that if he continued at this pace, it would take him a year to save enough money to buy the sheep he desired. Determined to speed up the process, an idea began to form in his mind. "I would like to build a display case for the crystals," he suggested to the merchant. The merchant, who had never thought of such an addition before, replied, "Why not? Let's give it a try." Over the next 2 months, the new display case attracted many customers to the shop. With this new influx of business, Santiago estimated that 6 more months of work would enable him to return to Spain with enough money to buy 60 sheep, or perhaps even more. One afternoon, while observing a man complaining at the top of the hill about the lack of refreshment options after the climb, Santiago had a brilliant idea. "Let's sell tea to the people who climb the hill," he proposed to the merchant. Initially, the merchant was doubtful, noting the presence of many tea vendors nearby. However, Santiago persisted, "But we could serve the tea in crystal glasses. People will enjoy the tea and want to buy the glasses." Intrigued by the idea, the merchant agreed to give it a shot. The plan proved successful, attracting a steady stream of visitors eager to experience this unique offering, which breathed new life into their trade. Before dawn, Santiago awoke, marking 11 months and 9 days since his arrival on the African continent. He now possessed a substantial sum of money, enough to buy 120 sheep, secure a return ticket, and even obtain a license to import African goods into his homeland. "Today, I leave," he announced to the merchant. "I have the money I need to buy my sheep." Seeking the merchant's blessing, Santiago was ready to move on. "I'm proud of you," the merchant responded. However, deep down, the merchant regretted Santiago's return to the familiar fields and his flock. Dreams lose significance. Having worked tirelessly for an entire year to fulfill his dream, Santiago found that dream gradually losing its significance. "I can always return to being a shepherd," he thought. "I know how to care for sheep and haven't forgotten that. But maybe this is my only chance to reach the pyramids in Egypt." Suddenly, An overwhelming sense of happiness engulfed him. In a structure filled with the smells of animals, sweat, and dust, an Englishman sat on a bench. He had spent extensive time in the world's finest libraries, acquiring rare and crucial volumes of alchemy. His journey was directed toward Al-Fayoum to meet the alchemist. Outside, an enormous caravan was being prepared for a perilous crossing of the Sahara, set to pass through Al-Fayoum. Among the travelers, with his baggage, was Santiago. "I am the caravan's leader," declared a dark-eyed, bearded man. "I hold the power of life and death for everyone accompanying me." Santiago had limited interaction with the Englishman, who remained engrossed in his book for most of the journey. Santiago initially tried to read, but soon found more fascination in observing the caravan and listening to the wind. He forged a friendship with the camel driver traveling alongside him and listened to his tales. "I used to live near El Karam," the driver reminisced. "I had an orchard, my children, a life that would have remained unchanged until my final days. Then one day, the earth trembled, and the Nile overflowed its banks. The land was destroyed, and I had to seek another means of livelihood. Thus, I became a camel driver." While gathered around the crackling fire one evening, a camel driver approached the Englishman and Santiago. "There are rumors of tribal wars," he shared with them. Concerned, the Englishman inquired if they were in danger. "Once you enter the desert, there is no turning back," the camel driver solemnly warned. Restless, the Englishman found himself unable to sleep one night. He beckoned Santiago, and they ventured out into the camp's dunes together. As they strolled, Santiago recounted the story of his life, captivating the Englishman, especially with the progress achieved at the crystal shop. Acknowledging Santiago's advice, the Englishman declared, "I shall pay closer attention to the caravan," to which Santiago responded, "and I shall delve deeper into my books." Among the books that intrigued Santiago was one that told the tales of renowned alchemists who dedicated their lives to purifying metals in their laboratories. They believed that metal could shed all its inherent properties through prolonged heating, resulting in a transformative discovery called the masterwork. This masterwork consisted of a liquid part known as the elixir of life, capable of curing all illnesses and bestowing eternal youth upon the alchemist, and a solid part called the philosopher's stone, with the remarkable ability to transmute vast quantities of metal into gold. With the break of dawn, Santiago awakened to a mesmerizing sight. The small stars of the previous night had been replaced by an unending row of date palms stretching across the entire desert. "We've done it!" exclaimed the Englishman, who had risen early. Finally, they reached the oasis, where they would remain until the tribal conflict subsided. Meanwhile, Santiago contemplated his treasure, reminding himself not to grow impatient. Assigned a spot in a tent with 5 other young men, he shared stories of his shepherd life and was on the verge of recounting his experiences at the crystal shop when the Englishman entered the tent. "I've been searching for you all morning," he announced, leading Santiago outside. "I need your help in finding the whereabouts of the alchemist." The search. At first, Santiago and the Englishman tried to find the alchemist on their own, searching every corner of the vast oasis. Exhausted and realizing they had wasted almost the entire day, they sat by one of the wells. Curious, Santiago approached a woman who had come to fetch water and politely asked if she knew the alchemist. In a hurry, the woman admitted she had never heard of such a person before, quickly walking away. Reflecting on this, Santiago remarked, "I had never heard of alchemists before. Maybe no one here knows either." The Englishman's eyes lit up with a sudden realization. "That's it. Maybe no one here knows what an alchemist is. Find out who heals the people's illnesses instead." Eventually, a veiled young woman approached, balancing a water vessel on her shoulder. Eager to learn more, Santiago approached her and smiled as she did the same. "What is your name?" he asked. "Fatima," she replied. Taking the opportunity, Santiago asked about the man known for curing people's ailments. Fatima pointed southward, indicating the direction of the enigmatic figure. After filling her vessel, she bid them farewell. The next day, Santiago returned to the well where the Englishman was gazing at the vast desert. Their search for the alchemist had finally yielded results. The Englishman, eager to learn the art of transmuting lead into gold, approached the alchemist. The alchemist simply said, "Go ahead and try." As the Englishman departed, Fatima arrived, ready to fetch water. Sensing the moment, Santiago revealed his feelings. "I want you to be my wife. I love you," he confessed. Overwhelmed, Fatima accidentally dropped her container, spilling the water. "I will wait for you here every day. I crossed the desert searching for a treasure near the pyramids, and though the war seemed like a curse, it has now become a blessing for leading me to you." After spending almost a month at the oasis, the caravan leader called a meeting for all the travelers. "We are uncertain when the war will end, and therefore, we cannot continue our journey," he announced. The battles might persist for a long time. People dispersed, returning to their respective dwellings, while Santiago sought out Fatima that afternoon. Dreamily, she shared, "Since childhood, I have dreamt that the desert would give me a magnificent gift. Now, my gift has arrived, and it's you." Moved by her words, Santiago affirmed, "I am a part of your dream. That is why I want you to continue towards your goal." The alchemist. The next morning, lost in thought, Santiago noticed movement above him. Looking up, he saw a pair of hawks soaring high. Suddenly, one of the hawks dove, revealing a fleeting image, a fearsome army with swords, descending upon the oasis. This revelation led Santiago to meet the alchemist. "Tomorrow, sell your camel and buy a horse," advised the wise figure. Santiago did as instructed, and the following night, he presented himself to the alchemist with a horse. "I am going with you," Santiago declared, feeling a profound peace in his heart. The alchemist confirmed, "We shall depart before sunrise tomorrow." Before leaving, Santiago sought out Fatima one last time. Then, together with the alchemist, he embarked on his journey. In silence, they crossed the desert for 2 more days, getting closer to the culmination of Santiago's quest. They rode all day, and by afternoon, they arrived at a Coptic monastery. The alchemist approached the gate and requested the use of the kitchen. A monk, dressed in black, appeared and granted his request. The alchemist lit a fire in the kitchen, and the monk provided him with a piece of lead. The alchemist placed the lead in a pan and let it cool. Once cooled, Santiago saw that the lead had transformed into gold, taking the shape of the pan. The alchemist divided the gold disc into 4 parts, distributing them among himself, Santiago, and the monk. Then, with a farewell, the alchemist bid Santiago goodbye, and Santiago reciprocated. Now alone, Santiago embarked on his solitary journey, walking through the desert for several hours. He absorbed wisdom that was difficult to put into words. Finally, he reached the pyramid, the culmination of his quest. Santiago stayed at the chosen spot all night, eagerly anticipating the discovery of the treasure. However, at dawn, he was confronted by several figures who demanded to know what he was doing there. Santiago remained silent, but one of the figures speculated that he had more hidden gold. Under duress, Santiago continued to dig but found nothing. The men resorted to violence as the sun rose, beating him mercilessly. Santiago finally screamed in pain, confessing that he was digging for treasure. Bloodied and bruised, he recounted his recurrent dreams of a hidden gem near the pyramids of Egypt. The group leader, considering Santiago's story, instructed the others to leave him. Before departing, he taunted Santiago, highlighting the foolishness of following a recurrent dream. The leader revealed his own experience of dreaming about a treasure in Spain, near a ruined church where shepherds and their sheep slept. Yet, he dismissed the dream as mere fantasy, refusing to cross the desert to pursue it. The men vanished, leaving Santiago standing in the vast desert. Filled with joy, Santiago gazed once more at the pyramids, now knowing the actual location of the treasure. Determined, he went to a small, abandoned church, where he began to dig. And there, as his heart had yearned, he discovered the hidden treasure. True to his promise, Santiago offered the old woman 1/10 of his newfound wealth, and then he returned to Fatima. Thus, the story concludes. These captivating stories offer us valuable insights to ponder. Here are 4 lessons we can derive from them. 1. The treasure lies within you, but you must venture out to discover it. 2. Listen to the whispers of your heart, for it guides you towards your true destiny. 3. The secret of life is to embrace resilience, to rise 8 times, even after falling 7. 4. Love is not a hindrance but an impetus on our journey. Those who genuinely care for us want our happiness and will accompany us on our path. And that brings us to the end of our summary of The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, Glowing Star. This timeless story reminds us that the journey to fulfilling our dreams is as important as the destination itself. Santiago's quest teaches us about listening to our hearts, trusting in the universe, and realizing that the answers we seek are often within us. If this summary inspired you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss an empowering book summary from Prose and Pages. We'd love to hear from you. What's the personal legend you're chasing in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, the universe is always conspiring in your favor. Keep pursuing your dreams, and until next time, happy reading.